So this next type of problem I want to talk about from section 3.1 are basically the same thing as the look at the graph and write the equation, except we've taken away the graph and we're just giving you like some crumbs. Instead of giving you all the information possible, we're giving you like the minimum information possible to figure this out. So it says construct a sinusoid with an amplitude of 4, a period of 3 pi, and it passes through the point 3,1. All right? So what does an amplitude of 4 tell me? A is 4 or negative 4, right? What does a period of 3 pi tell me? Everybody okay with that? Now, we can make this easy or hard. What's your preference? Easy. Okay? If you are just told that all you have is a generic point and nothing specific about that point, like if it's a maximum or a minimum, or it lies on the midline, or something like that, if all you're given is a generic point, such as this, use sine, and in that case h is 3 and k is 1. So do we know enough information to choose a sign for A or C? No. Does it matter? No. So let's just pick one. I'm going to pick positives because I'm not in the habit of making my life more difficult than it needs to be. And this time I remember to do 1 over C. Notice that I flipped the C. So just as a check here, I can confirm that this does meet all my criteria if I wanted to graph this on my calculator. So I'm just going to hit graph here. I don't really care about the picture so much. The thing that I'm concerned about is that it's passing through the correct point. I'm confident I can do the A and C parts correctly. How would I figure out if the point 3,1 is on here? What's going to be the easiest way to do that? I'm going to press second and trace and select the value command. So what x value should I pick here? 3. So on this function is the point 3,1. So it seems like we got it, right? Okay. That's the easiest version of this kind of problem. They can be much more challenging. Let's do another. Yes, of course you can. This problem, considerably more tricky. Yes, Raul. Yeah, I would, in this case, since the points that we're talking about are maxes and mins, I would use the cosine graph as well. Agreed. Everybody, so we see mins and maxes, I immediately think cosine. Okay, so if I were to plot this, I have a minimum here at 510, and its next maximum is here at 1532. Everybody agree with that? So I have this much of my graph. Is that a full period? No. What does that look like to you guys? Yeah. So I know that 1/2 period is going to be 15 minus 5, so 10. Everybody agree with that? Where did the 15 and the 10 or 15 and the 5 come from? The x-coordinates of the 2 points. So I know that then I can say that 20 is equal to 2 pi absolute value of c. So I know that c, absolute value of c is 10 over pi. Okay there? Well, that's a 1 period is the formula. Yep, I doubled the 10. So far, so good? I have enough information to calculate the amplitude. Remember, the amplitude is y max minus y min over 2. So the amplitude is 11. i.e. that the absolute value of A is 11. Remember, that could be positive or negative. I have enough information to calculate the K. So that's 32 plus 10 over 2. That's 21. Okay with that? The last thing I need to do is figure out the H. So, should I be mapping max? So we use cosine. So cosine has a maximum at 0, 0. Should I map that maximum to the minimum or to the maximum? Doesn't really matter. If I map it to the maximum, what does that tell me? Tells me that the A and C are positive. 1 second. If I mapped it to the minimum, what is that going to tell me? A is negative. So it doesn't matter which one you choose, but you need to account for your choice with your value of A. Please listen, girls. Okay, so it doesn't matter if you map max to max or max to min, but if you go max to max, you need to make sure your A is positive. If you map max to min, you need to make sure your A is negative. I'm going to choose to map max to max because, it just makes life a little bit easier. So what does that tell me then? A is positive and then H is 15. Oh, thank you. Agreed. It would be. So I say then y equals 11 cosine of the reciprocal of c, x minus h plus k. Yeah. I would, but Olivia just asked me to hold on there for a second. So it's like, yeah, don't listen to Olivia. Just do what I want.
Right. Yeah. I understand. Yeah.
Anna, where are your glasses at?
I don't have glasses.
All right. Do we feel relatively better about these kinds of problems here? Or we have to write the equation? I somehow have managed to skip the graphing part on here. I don't know how I managed to do that. So let's go and do a little bit of that. Okay? So, let's say we want to graph something like this. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to first start by identifying the values for A, H, or A, C, H, and K. What's my value for A? Good. What's my value for C? 1/2. My value for H? And my value for K? All right. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use my transformation map. So if I plug in my values, that's my transformation map. Okay with that? And what I'm going to apply that transformation map to are the 5 key points of sine. So the key points of sine are where it crosses the midline and its maxes and mins. So for sine, we start with a mid. We start on the midline at 0, 0. We go first to its maximum at pi over 2, 1. We go back down to the midline at pi 0. We go proceed down to its minimum at 3 pi over 2 and negative 1. And then return back up to the midline at 2, 0. So notice the pattern. And how are we coming up with these values? Sam said it. Yeah, we're just reading these off the unit circle. It's almost like he's had this class before.
That hurts even more hearing it from the teacher.
So, again, here is sine of 0. Sine of pi over 2, sine of pi, sine 3 pi over 2, excuse me right there, and then sine of 3 or 2 pi, right? So we're just using, stop talking please, the quadrantal angles from the unit circle. Okay with that? So if I apply this then, I get 0, I get pi over 4, I get pi over 2, I get 3 pi over 4, and I get pi. Everybody okay there? If I do the same thing to the y-coordinates, I get 1, I get negative 3, I get 1, I get positive 5, and then I get 1 again. So I have 0, 1, pi over 4, negative 3, pi over 2, positive 1, positive 1, 3 pi over 2, positive 5, and then pi 1. So that's my graph from the interval negative pi to positive pi. What if I wanted to go from negative 4 pi to positive 4 pi? What would I do? I just keep doing that pattern in both directions until I filled up the space, right? Just continue the pattern. Put them in the same equivalent spots. It just repeats over and over again. Once you have one cycle, you can generate as many more cycles as you want to fill up the space that you need to, right? Does everybody kind of get that? So if I wanted to keep going, where do I go next from here? Right? I just keep doing the pattern over and over and over again, right?